Hello. Hi, everyone. Thank you for, I guess we could just get started then. Thanks for joining the webinar here, where we're going to be talking about the issues that Uyghur youth face from a mental health perspective. I'll go ahead with introducing myself, and then I'll pass it over to Summeyye to introduce herself. My name is Iltikin, and I am a current undergraduate college student in the United States. I am Uyghur and a part of the Uyghur diaspora.
Great. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining all. My name is Summeyye, and I'm a psychologist based in Ankara. I've been working with cognitive behavioral therapy and acceptance therapy over a year, I think. So I'm really excited to talking about this topic, actually, with you, especially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Likewise. Cool. So I guess like as kind of a starting intro topic, a point of conversation, we should definitely talk about the underlying prerequisite for kind of getting a lot of gains from mental health in a way, or getting a lot of psychology improvements, which I think
Yeah.
might be like how well we understand our emotions. And do you think that's a valid starting point for people looking to get into improving their mental health?
Yeah, actually, but let me start with like one question for you. Like, how
Okay.
aware your emotions? Like when you feel overwhelmed or uh, going through a tough time, can you pause and notice where you're feeling? Like when you name your emotions?
Yeah, I'd say that for me, it's been kind of a continuous cycle of trying to improve that skill and refine
Mhm.
it further. I'd say back when I was a youth, I definitely wasn't able to have that sort of sense where if I'm going through difficult times, I wouldn't necessarily pause and try to understand what I was feeling in the moment and try to work through it better. I'd say as
Mhm.
I've grown up now, I've gotten better at that skill and I've grown more ability to do so. I'd say for me, it's definitely very unrefined and unprofessional, right? I kind of just like take a pause, step back from whatever I'm doing in the moment if I'm feeling a little stressed or a little angry or a little sad, and try to really examine the root cause. I think the
Mhm.
great thing about trying to understand the emotions I'm experiencing is that usually if I think deep enough and kind of walk through certain scenarios that occurred in the past, I can usually feel which one seems more correct and kind of be able to work through that. Most of the time for me, because I'm in school, it's usually class related or work related stress. And so that boils down to just getting everything done on time and good time management. But that's my take. I'm curious to see what you think.
Yeah, honestly, like that's really good. Like when you just when you can pause, when you feel like overwhelmed, like uh, when you start stressing about like schoolwork or not outside work, anything, when you like start being aware of your emotions, it helps you like regulate and like you can respond calmly instead of reacting without like thinking. So I think this is important because emotions give us clues about our needs and limits, and if you ignore them, like they don't disappear. So they often build up and show up as a stress, anger, feel like feeling burnout, and etc. So I think as an Uyghur youth, as an Uyghur person, we thought to stay strong, stay busy, or push your feeling aside to keep going, and like they didn't thought us to stop, like pause to ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? Like over time, this connection make feel us like numb, confused, out of control. So I feel like it's really important. I think becoming aware of our emotion is not weakness. It's like a form of strength. Uh,
Hmm.
it
Definitely.
helps understand ourselves. So like, and if we aware our emotions more, we can build a healthy relationship. like we can easily make choices, and we can reflect who we truly want to be. And that's why, like, I think, like, I observe, like, from Uyghur people, especially in my therapy sessions, that like we cannot name our emotions. Like when I ask the client, how do you feel, like what did you feel when you happened this, and or like what kind of thought or emotions happen in your body. And like most of them, like they stop and like, I don't know, like I can name it. Especially in your language, language barrier, it's like main issue, I think. As like I grew up in Turkey, so learning, like improving in Uyghur language is kind of hard for me. It's little like finding resources and then practicing. It's a little bit problem for me, and especially when it's coming to emotions. Like, you know,
Hmm.
when I ask them, they cannot tell me any emotions, and I cannot like give them examples in Uyghur. I was like, I remember my first session. I was like, okay, can I say it in Turkish? Because I don't know in Uyghur what is it. And we struggled a lot. That's why, like, I think, uh, like, even in a small moment, if checking our feelings can create big differences in our well-being.
Yeah, exactly. And I think what I've noticed too with a lot of the Uyghurs in the diaspora, both youth and families, is that sort of leaving the Uyghur homeland, leaving Vatan and coming to a completely new country and a new place requires
Mhm.
a lot of focus and feels very stressing and very rushed. Where if you have a family to take care of, you can't necessarily pause all the time to think about the emotions, right? Because the parents are always running around trying to make sure that their kids get a good livelihood in the new country that they're in. And so, for these types of scenarios, I'd say for parents who are in the diaspora, who are kind of like very focused on work, making sure their family is good, and also youth as well, who are kind of new to this idea of
Mhm.
mental wellness and being able to be aware of their emotions, what sort of steps do you recommend them to take to be able to improve those outcomes?
I think like some people are really good at like defining their emotions, but they're not. But you know, I can like give you a few tips uh if you wanna like, oh, how can I say? I'm sorry, like my English is like disappearing right now.
No worries,
I'm
no worries.
feeling nervous right now, very nervous. Like, okay, so for this step, I can give you the first step is, I think, mindful observation. You know, when you experience a strong reaction to something, pause and bring yourself in a state of mindfulness. Where are you and actively observing your thought and feeling in your body, and like just feel it without judgment. And thinking about your thought is called metacognition, and this is a very important step as it helps you not only present in the moment, but helps you develop self-awareness. So you're not analyzing, you're just trying to feel it. So, like, if you do this mindfulness exercise, for you have to just sit comfortably and close your eyes and focus on your breath, and then trying to like analyze your body, like where do you feel that emotion, and when you like focus on like your body, you will see that emotion is happening in one place. For
Mm,
example, uh one one I think 1 year ago when I had my first client, I I had a really bad first session. And then like I started feeling something here, like very I can feel like it's very dark and heavy, but I cannot name it. I was like, what
I
is
see.
this? I have a feeling here, but I don't know. Like, and I start like, okay, let me ignore it just for now because it's not functioning right now, like for me. But like by the time, every time I ignore my feeling here, it's get bigger and bigger. But whenever I start sitting with this feeling and like, okay, what I'm feeling right here, like, what is this? What is this feeling? After name it as like, I was so like angry for myself because like I was like, you should do the better one. Like you messed up. Like you cannot. You had to like manage the time, everything like much better, but you didn't. Like I was so rushed to myself, and then when I named this, when I let this emotion be there, it just disappeared. Like
Mm.
magically. I was like, okay, I feel much more comfortable right now because I named this emotion here. So I think like mindful observation is a really important step. Like you have to aware, and you can name your like analyze where is it, and as a second step, identify your thought. Like is your like what you're thinking, like do you feel like your heart racing, or are your thoughts negative, or are they positive? If you have access something like this, you can write on your like book, on your notebook. So with this second step, like when you just after name it, you can like talk out loud to yourself or to your someone who like trust. You can like feel much more, how can I say, comfortable or
Mhm.
calm with the emotion. And like while you're thinking about your thought and body sensation, try to name the emotion that you're feeling. It could be happiness, sadness, fear, surprise, disgust, or you might also feel more complex emotion like shame, guilt, relief. And a good way to practice do this, like you can Google like emotion list or emotion wheels, and like there are lots of like sources, like you can find it on the Google and everything. You can even you ask to ChatGPT to like define it. So regardless of which wheels you use, you will see uh, like let me give you an example. Like for example, sad is pretty generic and it's identifiable. Like it's really identifiable.
Mhm.
Identifiable.
Yeah.
Am I correct? But other emotions in the sad category is lonely, crestfallen, dejected, and like you can easily like define from the wheel like which one is like linked to the another main emotion. And for the next step, you can keep an emotion journal. So you may not correctly identify your emotion each time, but more you do, it get better. So identifying your emotion and increasing your emotional vocabulary, it's really a good start, I think. And for the last step, I can say um, respond to the emotion. Once you identify your emotion, uh, you can decide how do you want to respond. Like some emotions need to be expressed, other might be sign that be acknowledged and or allowed to pass. You know, like when you try to get rid of your emotion, it force a lot to stay. So
Mm.
when you just respond to the emotion, when you give like answer, it's like imagine like it's like a crying baby. Like when his baby coming and cry, like ask for something. If you don't ask them to what do you want, or if you just ignore them, it will stay like endless crying sessions. So like you have to turn to your emotions and ask like what do they need and what I want. I think these kind of steps will help you like to regulate your emotions and be aware it, because if you're not aware, you cannot work it with it.
Hmm. I see. That makes a lot of sense. And
Yeah.
so, do you think this sort of process is something that people have to continuously do? Like,
Mhm.
do you recommend people do this every day or as often as they can? What's like, what do you do, and like, what are the benefits it's had?
You know, on my on my experience, like I was the person who ignoring the old emotions and not being like trying to like regulate them and then like get rid of them. So when I started my psychology department, I was like, when I learned that I have to open a room for them, I was like, okay, I'm not gonna like I will open a room for them. Like why? Like let's just let them flow. Like I don't want them. And my teacher was like, Summeyye, you cannot get rid of them. Like you're like they are your part of like your soul, and then like you cannot. It's really complex. So I was like, okay, like let me work on that. So at the beginning, I started like pause once a day and ask myself like what kind of feelings, emotions that I had today. Like what am I feeling right now? What was the dominant emotion that I experienced? And then I simply write it down, all my feelings. And I said like, okay, I felt today very overwhelmed, stressed, sad, happy. I was happy because of this. I was sad because of this, blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, name it. And then, okay, you can pause. You can stay here. I'm not gonna like, I'm not gonna try to get rid of you. You can stay. But as I'm Summeyye, myself, I have values. I have some goals. I need to work on that part. So in acceptance and commitment therapy, we use the metaphor uh, a hook. I think like the when you yeah a hook.
Yeah.
So we have a hook that sometimes pull us away from the moment, like feeling stressful or like worried. That's why like the hook like mm, the hook might snap us like someone with your or the hook. Ugh, I cannot find the
It
sentence. The
it sort
word.
of like takes you away from the present moment.
Yes. And at the acceptance and commitment therapy, we say like we decide we choose our values. What
Yeah.
is did I answer your question? I was like, I think I just went another direction right now.
No, no worries. I mean, the question was like, sort of the benefits from doing that and how often people do it as
Mhm.
often as possible. I think you were leading up to the answer though.
Yeah, I think like when you start being more aware, you can start control more like the situations.
Hmm.
So like
And
yeah.
so with like more awareness, you become more in control over what you're experiencing. Um,
Mhm.
and so I guess would you say the benefits are that A, you feel more present in what you're doing, and
Mhm.
also B, you're less of sort of like just like witnessing experiences happen or kind of just like being sort of a victim to circumstance maybe, and
Yep.
more in control with how you
Mhm.
receive a certain event or how you kind of experience whatever you're going through.
Yes, because like when you avoid from the emotions, when you like give all the control to your emotions, you're gonna feel like lost, out of control, and not to know what to do, and that causes stress. You
Mm,
know, stress is like everyday language is like very simple word. Like we always get stressed with everything. Like we get stressed because of like our deadlines, our like future, everything. And because like what I was saying, today I'm not feeling okay, I think because of Ramadan maybe.
Yeah, no
So
worries.
this like it causes stress. So when you're aware, like you can take the control of your feelings, and then you can walk on the path that you wanna achieve. That's what I think. Like, and that's what we do in the therapy sessions. Like, because our thoughts and our emotions sometimes control us too much, and then we just don't know where to go, what to do. Like, especially with your people, we're struggling a lot of pressure. Like, we have a lot of pressure on our shoulders. Like, you were like, we have to do like we have to raise our voices. We have to like do much better, because like in East Turkestan there is Uyghur people struggling. We need to like for example, we need to raise our kids much better. We need to study much better because we have to achieve a lot, and etc. These all of pressures, and like guilt, sadness, fear, everything is like putting on us. And then if we cannot name it, it's gonna like explode one day, and it results trauma and like PTSD, stress, depression, etc. This kind of psychopathological problems. So I think that's really important to be aware.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And on the point of stress, what would you say are some like very common experiences that your clients, your patients have had? Um, and what sort of solutions did you recommend them? If any viewers might find that helpful.
Mm, Let me ask you, like, what do you do when you get stressed? Like, how do you define the stress?
Yeah, I'd say like stress manifests in different aspects. There's different types of stress for sure. Um, like you said, it's one, people use the word as if it's like a catch-all term, but there's many different ways of experiencing it. I'd
Mhm.
say the deepest form of stress is maybe life stress in a way, where if you have some sort of worry or fear of, let's say, your own livelihood, your family's livelihood, let's say like, oh, well, I need to be able to support my family in things even as basic as like putting food on the table, right? Or support my
Mhm.
children's education. That's
Yeah.
like a life stress. That's like a very, very deep stress. And I'd say
Mhm.
other types of stress are um, going to like, I guess the most like light form of stress, not necessarily light, but the most like passing form, which could be
Mhm.
like stress that accompanies certain deadlines or stress that accompanies like missed tasks. So let's say if a person had to do something, run some kind of errand, oh, I have to submit this document, but they missed that. And so that's a very light form of stress. Um,
Mhm.
and so I'd say it's a very wide spectrum there.
Yeah. So stress is actually a normal reaction, our body and mind, when we feel pressure or face challenges, as you said. It can come from outside, like exams, deadlines, conflicts, or from inside, like worry, high expectations, or being too hard on ourselves. These all kind of things that will cause to stress. So a little stress can actually help us to stay focused and motivated. So, but when it comes too much and lasts too long, it can affect our mood, our thinking, our sleeping, or even our physical health. So when we stress, many of us can't focus, like, and like can't get irritated easily, and have trouble sleeping, or keep replaying bad memories from the past, or worrying about the future. So these thoughts, our feelings are normal. The problems begin when we get hooked by them. As I mentioned earlier, like, like by the mean that I hooked is, imagine something stuck on a hook, it can get away. In the same in the same way, we when we trap our attention and pulls away from the what we are doing, one moment you're enjoying time with someone, and the next moment you lost in a worry, anger, or fear. And what when this happens, we move away from our values. So values is the kind of person we want to be. Like, for example, maybe you want to be kind, patient, supportive, or present with others. But when we are hooked by stress, you might snap at someone, withdraw, or avoid from responsibilities. And we call this away moves because take us from the future, uh, further, take us further from person we want to be. Like,
I
it's take
see.
away from our values. So what we can do is we can practice to coming back to the present. Live your moment and fully engage in what you're doing. So being engaged means like giving your full attention, like whether you're eating, you're listening to music, talking to someone. And when we're hooked by stress, we become distracted and can't enjoy the moment. And for this, we can practice more staying in present and focus in the moment, and we can start handle the stress better. So our relationship will improve much better, and we are able to do the important things, and we can care others, and we will have the satisfaction more. So for these kind of things, we all like most of the psychologists recommend like meditation, being in the like moment. And like, have you ever heard like the chocolate meditation or coffee?
I don't
So
think I've heard about that.
yeah, the thing is, the concept is when you eat a chocolate bar, imagine a chocolate bar. It's Ramadan, so maybe you're hungry, but imagine a chocolate bar on your hand. Put it on your hand. If you find a chocolate, put it on your hand and like just observe it, like very detailed way, and smell it and see all the details. And when you like observe and see all details of chocolate, smell it first and then take a bite and close your eyes and feel every like step, every taste, every like things that happening on your mouth, and then like swallow it like very slowly and feel every like little step on your body, what's happening when you eat chocolate. Like this kind of exercise will help you to stay in the moment, like to
Mhm.
leave the present part. And I think this is the one of the biggest and most important exercise, like tip to get rid of the stressful event situations. So
I see.
yeah, I did a lot of like at the beginning it feels like, Sumaya, do you think it's really gonna work? Is it like a lot so like fake? Like, why do I first force myself to this kind of activities? Like, but when you try one, two, three, four times, you will get just start like see the result. Like you're gonna stay pay attention more and enjoy it more. And yeah, the like being in the moment is really important, I think, for this stressful event. Like get rid of the hooked part.
Yeah, exactly. That sounds very useful, and the benefit that I could see from when you were describing it is it seems like a very like easy thing to do, right? It's not super
Mhm.
difficult. Anyone can kind of, when they have a moment of time, they can really just use that sort of chocolate meditation to practice their mindfulness.
Mhm.
And so I think that's a great strategy there.
Yeah, like when you hear it was like, okay, it's very easy to like I can do it, it's not a thing. But when you start doing it, when you face these emotions or the thought, most of the people like just avoid this kind of situations because it's really uncomfortable at the beginning. When you face your emotions and thought, sometimes it's really heavy to feel it or let it like open a room. It's not easy. Like, I tried opening a room for my emotions like for 6 months, I think. Like I did
Wow.
like practicing every day, like every week. I'm like, okay, girl, like just let it go, like let it be, like don't force yourself too much. But it's really hard. At the beginning, I was like, no, I don't want to like feel this kind of emotion. It's so uncomfortable. And when my like one of my patient was like, she was 59 years old, she was 60 years old, and she is an Uyghur mom, and she didn't even think that like she was talking about like really traumatic situation. And but like storytelling, just you're like giving the all the like events, the happening things. But whenever I ask, what did you feel? Like it's really stressful and like it's really like hard time. And she's like, really? Is that so? I'm like, okay, girl, never mind. Like I'm not gonna like be pathetic. Like I'm not gonna be like a victim. I'm strong. I'm like I lived my life like as a strong woman. I can keep going like this way. But at the end, she was struggling because like she cannot manage her relationship with her daughter.
Mm.
And I think that's really one important point, that we think we're if we become strong enough, there is no problem. But we're just forgetting that we're a human being. We're just like sometimes we need some break and then some like time to mm, understand this situation and then feeling it and then give it time.
Yeah, exactly. And excuse me, I'd say from like my own observation of other youth around me, Uyghur diaspora youth, as well as the adults, I'd say there definitely is this kind of thought where, oh, I'm too busy to do this, right? I have to do this, this, this. I don't
Mhm,
have time to like take a break and be mindful, things like that. And I think from my own efforts in attempting to be more mindful, I've noticed that it's actually helped in terms of my own productivity as well, where
mhm,
having those moments of a break, of sort of understanding one's own stress levels and being able to manage them has helped
mhm,
kind of be more productive afterwards and keep going after those goals. And
mhm,
so I think there's a really great benefit to taking these sort of efforts in order to make sure that
mhm.
one's own mind is very at peace or as at peace as it can be.
Yeah, exactly. So like, like there is a little like small differences, like ignoring your stress and keep going, and then like pausing and then being mindful and then continue to your path. It's really big like there is a big gap. But like some people like feel, okay, girl, I'm like just keep going, like I'm just walking on my path, like I'm achieving my all of my goals. But they're not like, but at the end some point they like there is like full of like burden. Yeah, burden
Mhm.
is it
I
correct
see.
word?
There's sort of like a mental weighing them down.
Yeah.
There I see.
So I think that's kind of important point that we should
Mhm.
consider. And about I was thinking, should we talk about more psychology part, or should we like talk more on another issues that you may observe in Uyghur youth?
Yeah, I think this would actually be a good moment to address some audience
Mhm.
questions. So we got a question in the chat here that's asking you, do you try this a few times a week? I think that refers to the chocolate meditation or the coffee meditation. And then some quick follow-ups are, do you do it more when you're feeling stress? is it okay to think of it as giving yourself a short break from your real stress?
For the chocolate meditation, I think you can do whatever you feel comfortable, or so like at the beginning, maybe you can start every day or once a week, twice a week. Like it depends on your like if you able to find like calm time, silent moment, you can practice it. Like when you start practicing more at the beginning, and then by the time you won't gonna need it, like this kind of meditation, because you will be start living every moment, enjoying every moment, being aware of your every moment. So about the like stressful situation do you do when you're feeling stress? um when you feel stress, if you pause and then turn back to your body, like what am I feeling right now, like what is my need, like why I'm stressed. When you question this, like what is my mind is saying to me, or what is like what kind of emotions that I'm having right now, that will help you reduce like a lot of like the stress level a lot much better. So giving yourself a short break from your real stress, is it okay to think? Can you um
It might be,
explain?
from my understanding, it might be asking if this is like, you can understand this as sort of like a break. So if you're undergoing um, a lot of stress, or of course everyone is, like, is it okay to think of it as like taking a break from that? I believe that might be the question.
Oh, so you mean stress-free moments, or
Yeah, as in like using this like coffee meditation or chocolate meditation as like a break from that stress.
yeah, I think uh here we our goal is not like uh not be get stressed anytime. Like our goal is like even when we get stressed, like we can instead of like giving all our control to the stressful event, stressful situation, we can just get rid of this hook and then being in the present and do whatever like we want and what is our value is in that way, I think.
I
did i
see.
did I answer the question? Like I just a little bit confused with
Yeah.
the question, I think. um
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. And of course, we'll answer. Okay, I think the clarification is there.
Exactly. Yeah. I need a break. Let me take a minute and just focus this delicious coffee. Like, um, you're welcome. Thank you. So like, sometimes it's saying romanticizing the life. Sometimes that
Mhm.
people think, you're too optimistic and you're too like romanticizing your life. But the thing is, we need sometimes like be optimistic and be romanticize our life, because like we have a lot of
Stimuli?
stimuli
Yeah.
stimuli in our life, like like social media, like phones, like like TV, YouTube, everything. And this kind of distraction like start um, remind us like our body, our like feeling. That's why like we need to pause sometimes. We need to romanticize life a little bit. I believe in our like value, like in the path of our value.
Hmm.
What do you think about this? Like romanticizing the life and being optimistic. Do
Yeah,
you think it's
exactly. You need,
or
yeah, I think it's very valuable where you need those moments of kind of peace, calm, and excitement
mm,
about life, right?
yeah.
Um, I'd say through moments where someone is going through either a lot of stress or a lot of effort, having those moments of excitement really helps carry a person through the day, right? Um,
Mhm.
at least for me, I remember looking back throughout college, and some of my favorite parts of the day was kind of waking up and having that moment of peace where I was able to have a coffee before class and
Mhm.
just like kind of sit in the quiet of the morning, right? And so, in a way,
Yeah.
that's also its own form of maybe romanticization, where I would look forward to having that moment of peace in the mornings, being able to have that sort of coffee moment. Of course,
Mhm.
I don't know if I was doing the coffee meditation, but in a way, it was that moment of excitement, and it helped kind of, first of all, it helped pace the days. So every day, I'd know I had to have that sort of moment to really um, think deeply. For me, I used it to kind of think deeply through goals, sort
Mhm.
of, okay, how are my efforts looking right now? How am I doing? And it helped instill a lot of peace.
Yeah, that's really great because you know like emotional intelligence is really important when you are in uh I think this kind of traumatic like situation like Uyghur people. You know, we need to be aware of our uh like traumas, schemas, and then thoughts, emotions, everything that will help to control our life in a better way. So
Exactly.
as I just remembered about the trauma, you know, there is a concept called generational trauma or intergenerational trauma. Uh, like it's the emotional pain and stress that get passed from one generation to the next. And there is a book called It Didn't Start With You. And when I read that book, I was so surprised. Like my mind, like, like, is that real? Like I did a lot of research, and the book was like giving me a lot of research, e- research results, research results. Yeah, research
Okay.
results, and saying that like it can come from experience like war, migration, discrimination, or family violence. And if even if the next generation didn't live through these events, they may still feel the effect of uh, the trauma through the family beliefs, coping habits, fears, ways of relating of others.
I
So,
see. And so,
for
like, trauma and
Mhm.
like, if I experience a lot of trauma in my life, then that can also be passed down to my children or their children. Um,
Yeah, by like
I see.
through your habits, your through your actions, that how do you yeah, how do you raise your kids. And you
I see.
know, one interesting finding is that like if the trauma was really affected to the parent, and if is it not solved in the parent, it start to changing the DNA. And you
Mm,
know, they found the traumatic DNA in the like grandchildren. Like so when you not solve the trauma, like because you know the trauma is like kind of circle, like starting one point to the like starting like reliving the same traumatic event and again if you don't solve it. So when it passed to your children and the grandchildren, and if they didn't know what happened, they will like you know, in the book there was a girl when she was like 18 years old, suddenly she had like very very huge pain in her arm, and like she didn't felt her hand like for 2 weeks or something. And then when they went to doctor, there was nothing, like it was all good. But when did they go to the psychiatrist or psychologist, and they found out that her grand grandfather lost his arm in the war. And because of this, at the traumatic event, um, so the grandchildren child felt that this the pain, and the kept the trauma with for the next generations. So I think one of the main, like one of the biggest problem with the Uyghur people, with the Uyghur youth especially, uh, we're just ignoring that part. Like
Mm,
because we feel like we grew up out like in diaspora, and then we didn't had the like trauma like directly, like from what we heard, from what we like saw from like internet on phone. So we were thinking like, I don't have that kind of big trauma, like I'm okay, like i'm 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 my mental as well, like I'm mentally good. So we ignore that part, and at the end we like when we work with ourselves we stuck in some point. I'm like, we were like, what is happening here? Like why I cannot move further? So when we question here, if there are like any traumatic, is there any generational trauma that we carry in our like from past? So for me, for example, when I like see all of these uh like what my mom experienced in Uzbekistan, and my what my grandmom had like in her young age, like I when I questioned, when I like learned these kind of traumatic events, and when I reflect to myself, I was like, okay, maybe like I feel this because of this kind of event. Like it's just when you name it, the first step is name it. Like when you name a problem, it's 50% is solved. So
mm,
very interesting. Like so with the understanding generational trauma, it's really important because it helps us see that some struggles didn't start with us. So this awareness can reduce like shame, blame, and give us a chance to break unhealthy patterns and
mm.
create a safer, more supportive environment for the next generation, I think.
Yeah. And so, what sort of specific steps do you recommend Uyghur youth to take in order to really understand not
Mhm.
only the traumas that they've gone through, but also maybe the traumas that kind of carry on with their generation?
So, the first step probably be compassionate toward your parents or and elders. Like the carry wounds may you not see. Like just ask them. Like just if you
Mhm.
cannot ask, like do some like research. Or I think the best way is asking like what happened when it like in the past, as much as you can. And at the same time allow yourself to live differently and build healthier habits. Like you don't have to live as your mom and grandma lived in Uzbekistan. The situations are different. I have like few friends, they so under pressure of the like uh to continue this cultural war culture to the next generation. So they also took the trauma to the next generation. Like okay, of course we need to carry our culture, our like identity for the next generation, but we have to like learn our history, but don't let the pain define our future. You mean what I mean? What I
Yeah.
say? And so we need to like respond. We're not responsible from like past. We cannot change it. But at least if we raise more awareness, be aware more on our past traumas, we can build a much more better future, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I see. That makes a lot of sense. And if I'm understanding it correctly, I guess the first step is to really lean in and foster that relationship with one's own
Mhm,
family. Like
mhm,
as a youth, to talk to my parents more about what they've gone through and try to
mhm,
understand the sort of weight and the traumas that they carry with them.
mhm.
And then
Yeah.
I think after that, the next step would then be after that understanding. I guess this goes back to your point of naming the thing that's causing the emotion. right?
Mm-hmm.
In a way, this feels like naming the thing that's causing the stress or the traumas that's existed across the generations. After that, then it's kind of working towards addressing it, being more at home with it, and not carrying it forward. Is that, do you think that's a good strategy?
Yes. So, uh, we when we like listen our moms or grandparents like past history, we unconsciously like take the emotions as well, carry the emotions and the traumas like automatically, because we bound each other with the like emotion, like with the emotions. So we try, like as we kids or as we youth, like we try to carry their trauma. We're trying to help them to get rid of it unconsciously. So we think that if we take this kind of traumas or heavy emotions, negative emotions from them, we can uh, rescue them. But it's all unconscious, like it's a really unconscious way. So as you said, like if we really be aware and then name it and then differentiate from that, it will help much more, I think.
Yeah, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And I prepared a few book recommendation. But before that, do you have any like question or something
Yeah,
to add? Wanted to add anything to
yeah.
clarify? You know.
I think that all sounded super helpful, and
Mm-hmm.
everything was explained and suggested in a way where anyone watching, any youth, any member of the Uyghur diaspora can very easily begin steps
Mm-hmm.
towards not only addressing certain traumas, stresses they've currently undergoing or have undergone, but also set themselves up for a better and kind of more peaceful, more content um, experience, more mindful experience in the future as well. And I think, especially in the Uyghur community, not enough attention is paid to the issue of sort of mental health, mental wellness. But I think it's very vital because it helps inform how well we do the things we want to do in the future, right? Having that very solid mental foundation. And so, having or committing to this mental wellness in itself is a service to the people around you. And I think everyone watching will benefit hugely from doing the steps you described.
Yeah, hope to I cleared myself. I think like my English didn't work today that much. I hope to
It was great.
understand really. Yeah. Then can you share the okay.
There it is.
So we when I prepared my topics, I said like starting from my psychology psychology department, like bachelor degree first year, and until now I've been reading like psychology books a lot. And this books like we gave to the clients to as a help, so like self-help, is it correct?
Yeah,
I
self
think,
help.
yeah, self-help books. So this three books, it's like reinventing your life. Uh this book is talking about the schemas, like we have 18 different schemas in our life. So how like helping us define it and then work on it. It's really good book to if we start uh, if we want to be start like aware of our problems at the beginning, I think. And feeling good, it's about mood therapy. It's like depression, anxiety, like if you feel like your mood change constantly, you can read this book. I think it's really helpful. And when panic attacks, it's same author with the feeling good. It's also work with the cognitive behavior therapy. And inside of book there is a lot of beneficial tools. Highly recommend the three books. And when I read all of them, it was really helpful. I was like Okay, I'm like super power. I have a superpower now. I can like perfectly easily. And the next page, please. For the next one, this is about more trauma. I focus on more trauma. Uh,
This
you
first
know,
book here?
yeah, the all like
Okay.
all of four
Okay.
is like the body keeps the score. It's and when the body says no, this two more on stress. It's about more on stress, but it also like help you will uh identify your emotions and then the problems, I think. And it's really helpful books. And the last two, trauma and recovery, and it didn't start with you. These two book about trauma, and I think your youth should read it because you will uh, be much more aware and understand like how it did it start and how is it going and how can we take it to the end. And for the last page, I think this is the acceptance and commitment therapy, this all three book. And so about the act, it's really, uh, especially in the book in the middle, the mindfulness and acceptance work book for self-esteem. It's really cute, like written, like the language is really like soft and it's really warm. So I think when you want to practice on your mindfulness and your self esteem, you should definitely read this. And the other two books are Trauma Focused Acts and The Happiness Trap, is from the author of the Acceptance and Commitment Therapies yeah. So I think this three book will help you to work on your thought, emotions, you know, your other
I see.
problems.
I see.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
that's
this is
all
very
for.
helpful. Thank you for these recommendations.
You're welcome. Hope to read it. It's definitely like help your all of your question and you're welcome. Mm,
Of course, yeah. I'll definitely be checking out the essential reading for the youth. That didn't start with you.
yeah.
But yeah, I think um, if nothing else, then we can wrap up here then.
Yes. I think it's been an hour.
Yeah, awesome. So yeah, thank you so much, Summeyye, for all
Thank
of
you.
the wonderful information, advice, and strategies that you provided today.
Mhm.
Again, mental wellness, it starts with each one of us, and I think the Uyghur community, families, youth will benefit massively from taking on the advice that you've given today, and hopefully it's a large benefit for the community in the coming days.
Inshallah, I hope so. Thank you. Thank you for your helping me to express all of this stuff. And
Of course.
thank you very much.
Thank
And thank
you.
you everyone who joins us today. And hope to see you again. Bye bye.
Thank you, everyone.